Hello, I'm Stephen Orvis, and I am going to show some techniques I've been learning from a combination of people, one being the Noah Kagan from the $1 Million Weekend. I've got his book here, been reading it, and then also to Mark Moss, just talking about funnels and how you can take people down a funnel in exchange for some free item you give them, and in exchange you get their email, and you can sign them up and uh, give them value, hopefully for the emailing list, and now become one of your fans. So I wanted to show how we could do this in Odoo. You could definitely do it with MailChimp. There's built-in landing pages and email support for sending out. But since you're Odoo, you have the ERP, you can use your data in other places too. There can be some advantages to doing that there, so I went ahead and implemented with that. So first off, I did a little extra here on my free downloadable PDF that I have as my give to someone who uh, does this. I set up a link tracker and in Odoo and gave my target URL and then my tracked URL, which will be what is attached to the link tracker. And then I went and made a QR code with that. I normally just search on Google free QR code generator, and one of the ones at the top, probably not the sponsored ads one typically, it seems to do a pretty decent job at generating the QR code. Download that, put that on the document. So now, if someone downloads it and prints it out, and then someone else is like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Where can I get one?" It's super easy for them to just scan the QR code and then go find it for themselves. And then that will take the person to the landing page, which I made. And here they would enter in their email address, get it free. I threw in a screenshot of the document with some gradient that Odoo did. Uh, and this landing page here is a little different than the rest of my Odoo website. My actual stephenorvis.com has a header, has a footer, and this one is just this. And I believe that was from Noah's book where he's talking about he likes the less distraction, where you can just have one thing for the person to do. So it kind of really guides them down exactly what they're supposed to be doing here. If they want this download, they can get that, and I'm pretty upfront that I'm going to be subscribing you to my newsletter. Of course, we have the opt out and the unsubscribe, so we're going to respect that as well if that's a thing. To do this in Odoo, unfortunately, it doesn't appear that you can just have a page on your site and turn off the header and the footer. I actually had to make a new site, which then I attached to a subdomain name on my main domain name. So I have landing.stephenorvis.com. And then once I did that, I came into the edit on a page and I hit theme. Let me move my camera here. And I came in here, and then there is show header right there. I ticked that off. And I believe for the footer, I might have actually deleted the elements. I don't know that there's necessarily a footer switch box there. It was just more so I ran through and just deleted the elements until they went away. So it's interesting that Odoo doesn't have both directions. But anyways, that's how I did that. So the background image here, if I click on that, it'll come here. I just replace with whatever generic stuff they had. And then I picked a gradient. I wanted a color filter, and then that's when I picked my nice blue. I like blue, so of course I picked blue. And so that made it just look a little different. It's just a white PDF, so it gave some color to the place. I also changed my theme around. I'm not as much of the purple for the Odoo, so I like blue, so I made a blue and gray theme. That was actually kind of nice to pick too, because you can just click here and it gives you a palette of colors that are complementary. Since I don't know what is and isn't, that makes life easy for me. So that's how that was added. And then the other side was the block. So if you type in email or newsletter, probably newsletter, you have a few different options there. You can do a pop-up, a block, which would be an individual item in of itself. This is already a two-column item block. So I did inner content, and then that made that just drop that right in. I think they had an action button before. This is one of their templates. When you create a new page, you can pick from a set of templates, and I picked something that looked really close. I wanted it just had two-column layout, so an image on the right, text on the left with a button. So then I went ahead and picked that, and I changed the text to be what I wanted it to be, and then I added in that newsletter box for the inner content. So if I click on that now, I made a couple of changes. One, I picked the newsletter, and to pick the newsletter, you need to have a newsletter created. And so to do that, I went into email marketing in Odoo in the app, and then email lists, and then new, and then I went ahead and named it, and then show in preferences there. And then it became available in the newsletter drop-down box for me to pick then. This actually shows all of the newsletter emailing lists across the entire Odoo instance, so I could have picked some other ones as well, but then it goes there. I did make a separate one just for this because I wanted to have a way to kind of show where people come from. I might do that differently in the future and maybe just send it right to the newsletter, or maybe have somebody use tags. But for now, it seemed like an easy way to distinguish that and then know exactly that those people are the ones that got it. And then this is interesting here. It says display thanks button, and it's not really a setting as much as it just shows something different. So this is before it shows get it free, and then then it says please allow a few minutes to receive the email. And unfortunately, Odoo runs a cron job and sends the email, so it's not exactly instant. I think most of the time with these sites, they send them pretty fast, and that's a area of Odoo that I'm a little disappointed in, but I'm working on it. I have got it down to a few minutes that are sent, so I think it's acceptable for the moment at least. So we have a landing page, we have an emailing list, and we are somewhat communicating with the customer, letting them know what's going on. So they would come in here, fill it out. So the next up, when they fill it out, it's going to go to their recipient on this list. That works really well, and they go right onto it. But we want to do something with it, so that's where marketing automation comes in with an Odoo. You can build it a flow, put some rules on it, and then go from there. So I made a new one, and I called it the commit to try 100 times, which is what the freebie I'm giving. So this is a flow for that to give them the freebie. And then under the filter, I added a new one. So the already is email is set, so you don't want to send it if you don't have an email. And then blacklist is not set. So then if someone is like, hey, don't send me messages again, the blacklist will respect that. That's a checkbox, I believe, on the contact itself. And so if that's set, you just don't send anything. So that would be global across all of your instances too. So if on some other instance you get blacklisted or they ask to be blacklisted, it'll turn them off. It's just trying to be respectful of people and what they want. And then what I added though was the mailing list is in, and then so that's saying that it's within the uh, list of the contacts for that try 100 times list that I made. Now this is also important here. This is the default, but it would be important if you changed it. This is to avoid duplicates, and so it's going to use the email address as a unique identifier. So if someone asks for this multiple times, it doesn't mean they won't get it multiple times, but it also means if I hit run, it's not going to just like blast out a list of 1,000 to 1,000 people all over again. So it's nice to not be accidentally sending people multiple times something that they don't want because they already got it. So here you can see I have some testing that went on, and it sees that 3 were sent. I did not use, and I think the reason why that doesn't show everything, I'm not sure that Odoo is actually showing this right, but if you check the campaign here, they're all from this campaign, so it's interesting Odoo is not reporting that quite right. It could be seeing the test ones, because I did test it 6 times there, so that might be the cause for the record discrepancy there. But you can see the 3 sends, so that's why I'm doing some live testing there. I typed in my email address, or a email address, into the box that I own, and then it added me in. I also did some test ones too when I was getting the email sending working, and we have those 3 sent there. We also have blacklist bounces, so then if you get a bounce back that's not a valid email address or something, you don't keep sending to it, so it'll do that blacklisting on it as well. I thought the workflow was interesting. You have different actions you can do from something opened or not opened, and then you can set a time range. So if we click into this, you can see that time range. You can trigger after 0 hours, which according to the Odoo documentation, this should be instant, and in my testing, it did appear like that was going to be the case. This is in the activity that is you send an email, and then I have a mail template here, which you can look at if you click that, and you can see the mail body, and then I have some options. And here I did set a send from and a reply to email address. That way, if someone hits reply, it goes back, and I attach that actually to a team in the CRM. That way, if someone on my newsletter is sending me a message back from the newsletter, it'll go back to the CRM team, and then I can see that person's email address and respond to them and reach back out to them. So I made that, and in this case, I had an attachment, so I attached my PDF to it so that we'll send that to them. And then this is pretty much the same as the other one, so nothing else too exciting there. And another thing I did though, so I was pretty clear on the landing page. I was going to send them the PDF, but I was also going to subscribe them to my newsletter. Not everyone that subscribes to my newsletter will get the freebie because they may not know it's there, or may not be asking for it. So I made another list for just the newsletter, and then very similar to the other one, which I see I actually have a bug here. You No, this is actually not a bug. This is fine. So remember how I said that for now they're two separate lists? I actually have by default it'll just send them the welcome flow into here. I think I actually need a flow that would move people over or copy people over to the newsletter list. So this was more of a hack that I should probably could do differently better. But for now it does function. And this one I'm going to trigger my welcome email 3 hours out, so that's a little after you get the download. Hopefully that'll happen first. And then this is from Noah's book. He talks about you have your welcome email first. You have some text in it, and I'll open that up here. And this is for now just some sample text. I can make it better as I go. But he said that this three-stage step process of kind of welcoming them to the newsletter list, and then you ask them to connect with you on LinkedIn, that he found a very good success rate, and especially he would ask people, what they're interested in, what they need help with, and then he's got a third one where he gives something valuable, and he's like, give your best stuff for that third one. So I still have to write out that third one. Anyways, I've got to start here though. Uh, so this is how you could use Odoo to implement a funnel, though, to give free content to someone in exchange for them signing up on your email newsletter, setting up a landing page for them to go to. And I did mention, but I did have to set up in Cloudflare. I had to connect that domain name in the Odoo console. So that was pretty minor to do, but that was another aspect to this as well.